He just used the phrase enslaved by debt.
Yeah.
This is exactly what he stands against. If he, and he is as a single United States Senator, empowered to prevent us from raising the debt ceiling, because it must be raised on a date certain at a particular time on the clock, or the United States government goes into default. If he filibusters the debt ceiling beyond that point, he can not only destroy the credit rating of the United States of America, he can wreak havoc on the world financial markets, cause a worldwide depression with one consistent holding to principle, which is his notion of the American government's relationship to debt. This, by the way, is a challenge for Boehner in the House, his worst challenge. He must, and he knows it, pass a debt ceiling increase in his Republican House of Representatives. He will do it. But Rand Paul can stop it by himself.
Well, but the Republicans look back at 1995, they look back at Newt Gingrich and the government shutdown, and the lesson this year, before this year, the lesson was that was horrible. It was right, but they look back at that government shutdown and they think, before this year, the lesson of that was, oh, the Republicans went too far. This year, Republicans' lesson on that was, we should have gone farther. We should have held it closed for longer. They're going to look at that. They've already been talking about this. They're going to look at that debt ceiling vote.
Government shutdown is nothing compared to
the debt ceiling.
I know. But the Republican rhetoric around this cannot be underestimated. People as centrist in the Republican Party as Michael Steele have said there will be no compromise on that debt ceiling vote. Mike Lee of Utah, Rand Paul of Kentucky. It is not just one guy.
Michael Steele doesn't understand what it is. He's the same guy who didn't know what the minimum wage was when I asked him. They do not comprehend the worldwide economic depression that would be caused instantaneously by the United States government defaulting on its debt, which they are empowered to make happen.
Mitch McConnell understands it.
He does.
So Mitch McConnell understands it.
And he kind of understands Rand Paul. A little bit.
Kind of. So
do you think Mitch McConnell won't let him do it?
Well, I think he will try his best to find a way to keep him from doing it. And Mitch McConnell is about as good as anybody in the world at the byways and techniques of the Senate. I mean, he's really, really good.
Rand Paul can vote against it. You only need 51 votes to pass it. But Rand Paul is empowered to filibuster it. Will he? His principles say he must.
It certainly would cut to the chase in terms of getting government off your back, since there wouldn't be one. That would simplify things considerably.
Not just this government, governments around the world.
That's my point. So there, in fact, that's anarchy. I believe there used to be before we threw the word communist out at people that we did not like. We threw the word anarchist out at them in the late 19th century, and you're suggesting that this is what could be on the table if Mr. Paul were to, in fact, Senator-elect Paul were to, in fact, take that position.
This is a real question. Lawrence is raising this not as I think as hyperbole, but this is an issue that they're really seriously debating on the right.
This is the only person I'm aware of who will take the oath of office as a United States Senator who I believe is capable of doing this.
Mike Lee already said he would. It's not just one. That's the amazing thing. If it were only Rand Paul, he would be the story. The story is what's happened to the Republican Party this year, that there are a number of them. And somebody should ask Jim DeMint shortly if that's going to be his first crusade.
I believe this brings us back to the subject of the universal solvent, because we have now found it.